Hi, how are you? We're here today with the Doty report on comprehensive health. My name is Beverly Walker, and I'm actually hosting for Yolanda Gibbons. She's out sick tonight, and we're hoping that she has a speedy recovery and she can get back for next week. I want to say hello to Mr. Doty and his wife, Joyce Doty, and we are going to start our show. We have with us tonight Miss Nadine Willis and Miss Susan McKinney, and they are with a program called Sisters Working It Out. So we're going to get started. I'm going to ask them a few questions so that we can get more information about their program. So, ladies, can you all give me some information in terms of what Sisters Working It Out? I know they call it SWO. SWO. Okay.
So SWO is an organization that's dedicated to educating African American and other women in underserved communities about their breast health and about risk relative to breast cancer. So we're in October, and of course this is the time that we go full force into the community talking to women about getting their mammograms and taking care of their breast health.
Okay, I know a lot of times we as women don't want to do it. We're used to taking care of other people. We really don't take care of ourselves. Right. The information that I have here is that Ms. Brula Brent is the CEO of the program, and it's been in existence since early 2000.
Exactly, correct.
Okay. And both of you are on the board of directors, and both of you are actually breast cancer survivors.
Correct.
Yes.
How about that?
Correct. I myself is 18 years and
12 years, and we're glad to be alive.
Okay.
Glad to be alive.
Yeah. So I actually have a cousin that I just found out. I do know that she's a breast cancer survivor, but I didn't actually add the years, and just found out on Facebook that she's actually a 25-year survivor.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And I don't even think she shared that with a lot of people. And I think a lot of people have a tendency to shield or hide their illnesses, and that goes for hepatitis, cancer, heart disease, you know, diabetes. People just don't want to talk about their illnesses.
Right.
But I always think that, you know, for the most part, we're only as sick as the secrets we keep. And I think that when we begin to talk about a lot of our health issues, it helps us. It helps us heal.
Agreed.
You know, and we can find comfort in talking about it, because I know my girlfriend that had breast cancer, she actually called me and told me, she said, it did me a lot of good to hear you say that, you know, and she said, now I'm able to talk about it. And I said, well, I don't know why you would be ashamed. You know, we've been friends for a long time, but, you know, that's how we do. So, because we're so used to taking care of other people. So, tell me, where's the Sisters Working It Out program actually located?
Well, we're not located in one general spot. We're not housed in one building or one office. We are a Southside generated program, but we reach out all over the city. So there is no place that we won't go or won't reach out to for any woman that needs assistance or help.
Okay, so do you all only work with women, or do you have any men that you've actually been able to go out with to give assistance to?
We haven't, that I know of, we haven't personally worked with any men, but we do make sure that we have information available for men.
Okay.
Because 1% of our population, male population, will be impacted by breast cancer. And just recently, Beyonce Knowles is, right, he was diagnosed, and he spoke about it. And typically when people are famous or something like that, it brings greater attention to that. But we can support men, but we haven't had an opportunity, thankfully, to support men in that fight.
So what about if the opportunity becomes available? Do you have men available? Do you have male educators, or, you know, are you thinking about educating men so that they can become involved?
We have men on our board,
Okay.
and we have men who have walked with women through the breast cancer journey.
Okay.
And those men are available to encourage other men. Unfortunately, my husband passed away a few years ago, but he used to be with me on the circuit, encouraging other men to be supportive of their wives. So men are certainly involved in the fight. If your wife or your girlfriend is involved and they've been diagnosed, then they are impacted as well.
Okay.
So
That's good to hear. Tell me about some of the services that you actually offer. If a person calls up, who are they actually calling? Who gets the call, and what services are actually offered to that individual?
Most likely, when they call, they'll reach our CEO, Beulah Brent. She's usually the first point of contact for pretty much everything.
Okay.
And then Beulah will delegate down. If she's not taking care of it herself, I don't believe she ever sleeps. If she's not taking care of it herself, she'll delegate down to the best resource or the best person of contact that whomever calls in may benefit from.
Okay.
She's generally the primary point of contact.
Okay.
And we also have, she has this list of opportunities for us. And we can go on to the site that we work from, and we sign up for those opportunities that we can take advantage of. And while we're out, if we encounter people who would like us to come out to an event, to a church, then we can actually just put that event on the schedule.
Right.
Because we do want to take some of that off of her shoulders, because she works very hard.
She does. She
Okay.
does.
Very hard.
Okay.
She does.
So I do want to take a break and reach out to our audience that we have. I want to let the audience know that we do have a number you can call in and ask questions for of these two young ladies that we have here. And I'm also going to ask them to ask one of them to tell their story, since both of them are breast cancer survivors as well. So now he's actually trying to get me to put on the overhead. So we have an overhead here for some services that they actually offer.
So the first one is tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. is a mammogram party. It's a mammo party. And what that entails is that we will, there's free transportation from a specified location that will take you to the specified location is the Miles Square Inglewood Clinic. The address of that is 641 West 63rd Street. So the pickup time will be at 8:30. You'll be transported to they're at the UIC?
Yes, the UIC.
University of Illinois Cancer Center. There'll be lunch served. There'll be light refreshments. Everyone will get a mammogram, everyone who's on board, and then once everyone is finished, you'll be transported back to the same area in which you were picked up from, same spot which you were picked up from. Everything is free, completely free. There is no reason that if you need a mammogram that you should not be trying to make this if you can.
And we do this every month, so if they can't come to this one in October, we do this every month. So we'd be happy to serve the women that need the mammograms.
Okay, throughout the program, they have various events that they're going to be offering, so we'll be able to view them on the overhead as well.
Okay.
I'm going to ask Ms. McKenzie to begin to tell her story about being a survivor when she first became ill.
So my story began in 2001. I was 34 years old. I felt a lump in my breast doing my own self-examination and told my doctor about it and didn't tell him where I found the lump. I just knew that it was something new and I should definitely be open and let him know about it. Well, during his examination, he found a lump in the exact same spot. We began the procedure to go through the process of the biopsy. I had to actually have two biopsies. One is called a needle aspiration, where it's not uncomfortable. It just sounds bad because there's a needle. It was undetermined. Excuse me, I'm jumping ahead because I had to have a mammogram first. I did have a mammogram, and the mammogram did not show a lump. We knew it was one there because we could feel it, but the mammogram did not show a lump in any way whatsoever. I then had to have an ultrasound. Because of my age, I had dense breast tissue, which is very common for younger women or women with smaller breasts even, depending on where age is not a factor. If you just have small breasts, the tissue is denser. It is definitely more difficult to locate a lump via mammogram because of that. So an ultrasound found the lump immediately, and that's how I kept moving forward in the process and had my biopsy. And it was so difficult to have the biopsy that we even had to use the ultrasound during the biopsy just so we could keep track of where the lump was, because it even moved around a little bit. It wasn't in one position. So because of all of those things, everybody kind of thought that it would not be cancer. You know, cancer doesn't move around. It didn't hurt. Cancer doesn't hurt. I was young. I was healthy. All of those factors led to, this is just something we're going to not have to worry about. And after 3 biopsies, it was absolutely determined that it was cancer. And
so you wasn't the typical example of what they would look for, the conclusion of what they would come up with.
Correct.
For a person that had breast cancer.
That's correct. Years ago, they didn't even start considering you to take a mammogram until you were 40 years old.
Right.
Not even if you had a history of breast cancer in your family, which at the time I did not. As best as I know, I was the first woman in my family to be diagnosed with breast cancer, but since then I've lost 2 family members to breast cancer. So I was the first diagnosed, but the only one currently living from the disease.
So what made you become involved with Sisters Working It Out? How did you get involved with that? And Ms. Willis, I also want you to talk about, very briefly, because we are halfway through the show now, how you became involved with Sisters
We have a caller.
Working It Out. So let me put the caller on.
Hey, Rochester? Okay.
I hear we have a caller.
Yes, I'd like to know, men get breast cancer, and how do they interact and get breast cancer?
We can't hear the caller. We had this problem the other day.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Just a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to know, how do men get breast cancer? How do they deal with it? And where do they go for services?
Well, men get breast cancer the same way women do. You have breast tissue. It doesn't protrude necessarily as a woman's breast does, but you still have breast tissue. Cancer is actually attacking the breast tissue. It has nothing to do with being male or female. If you have breast tissue, you are susceptible to breast cancer. The treatment varies for men than it does for women, and the procedure is generally the same. If you feel a lump and you think it might be something, you go to the doctor. The doctor will do a biopsy, and if in fact that is determined to be cancer, the treatment isn't much different. There is radiation, there is possibly chemotherapy, there is possibly pill treatment for all of those. But as long as you have breast tissue, you are in a position to actually have breast cancer. It just is more common in women because most breast cancers have a estrogen high level to them, and it's compatible to the estrogen in a woman's body. So men aren't immune to it. It's just the least likely to happen, but it's not impossible.
Okay. Can you finish the answering it.
So how I became involved in Sisters Working It Out is I was out at dinner with some friends, and Ramona, who's on the board, and I met through a mutual friend, and just in conversation, she was telling me her story, and I shared my story, and she said, look, I want you to join me on the board. And all the things that I have in my life, I thought, I can't do this. I can't. I will not do this.
You're too busy.
I'm too busy. I'm a supporter in every way. I just couldn't commit to the. I just could not commit to the details and the meetings and this and that, and on the day that I was supposed to meet people, I was on my way home, and home ended up to be at the meeting.
Well, look at you.
And I'm here.
We're glad you're here.
And so now you've been a board member for how long?
Just recently.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes,
Just
including
this
this.
Okay, how about you, Ms. Willis? How long?
We have another caller, but do you want me to answer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Very quick.
Beulah Brent, I was involved because of Beulah. I met her through church, and after I was diagnosed, she was very helpful, very supportive, and Sisters Working It Out was a big part of my recovery. So that's how I became involved. And I'm here today to encourage other women to get their mammograms to take care of their breast health.
Okay. Good. We have a caller on the line. It's probably done again.
Yes, I'd like to know, are men invited to the mammogram party tomorrow?
Yes. Are men invited to the mammogram?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes,
Oh.
the answer is yes. Everyone is invited.
They're
Everyone
invited.
is invited.
I don't know that they will get a mammogram unless you think there's something wrong or something going on, because it's usually through ultrasound that men are diagnosed.
Men are
Isn't
that's
that
true.
correct?
Men are most often diagnosed through ultrasound.
But you can come and have refreshments.
Right.
And,
Okay,
and
so
get the education.
and we're going to share another overhead.
Okay. So this is a program that we have been doing for about 5 years. We have a Day of Beauty celebration. It'll be November the 9th, 2019. It'll be at Liberty Temple Full Gospel Church at 2233 West 79th Street. And on this particular day, this is the day where we celebrate survivors. We have an educational component. There are manicures and light massages. We give the women lunch and really pamper the women and men and their families who have gone through any type of cancer. But we primarily, it was designed for people who had undergone breast cancer, but we do invite every breast cancer survivor to come out and join us. We will have hairstylists who will style wigs that will be made available for free for our participants. There's education, information, resources, health screening, and somebody said last year, one of the women came up to me and she said, "You all have made me feel like a queen." And that really touched me, because
yeah, that's really
after
good.
all the people have gone through, they come somewhere where we share this in common, but we still encourage and uplift these participants.
Because I can just imagine if a person has gone through breast cancer, they've lost some of their hair, and they can go through some of this pampering. This is actually pampering
It's
for
pampering.
them.
It's pampering.
It really makes them feel good.
Yeah.
It's just like when people get ready to go out and they dress up.
And they
or on their birthday and they get ready to go out and they're being celebrated. It really makes them feel good. If you're ill and you're recovering, and the first time you get ready to put on clothes and go out, it really makes you feel good. So I'm sure, I've had 16 surgeries on my hip, and I've had so many hip replacements. I can't, probably like 12 hip replacements out of the 16 surgeries. And so I know what it feels like to not be able to do something and then to be able to recover and be able to do something.
Yes.
And it really, really makes you feel grand.
It does.
Like a queen. And so I can imagine, I can just imagine how that makes a person feel. So you all also have a support group. Do you have a flyer for that?
We do not have a flyer for it, but the
Okay.
address where we meet is where the exact same spot where the pickup and transportation is for the memo party, which is 641 West 63rd Street. And they meet from 5:30 to 7:30 on the second Tuesday of every month.
And that's the Mile Square Inglewood Clinic. So we'd love to have you come out.
Okay, and is anybody invited to that, or just people that are
Survivors,
Survivors.
and
And
members of their
survivor
support group.
Support, survivor
Okay.
support,
Okay.
and survivors, yes.
so that's like their family members can come out as well?
Yes.
Okay. I had a friend that's a breast cancer survivor, and she goes to support groups. And I remember one day she said, "Babe, come go to this group meeting with me." And I was like, I ain't got time to go to a group meeting. She said, "Come on." I went with her, and I found it to be really interesting, you know. And all support groups that I've been to, and I go to a reentry support group all the time because I do some reentry work, and I found that you can always get something or gain some information. You just have to be objective. I mean, you can always gain something from it, and sometimes just to be there and to get a hug from somebody makes a big difference.
Does make a big
exactly.
difference.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
We do want to encourage women to get their mammograms. At 40 years of age, they should begin to get mammograms. And we also want women to be self-breast aware because Vicki felt something. When she felt something, she shared that with her doctor. And so now if Vicki has a daughter, because she was diagnosed at 34, her daughter would start to get her mammograms at 24.
At
It's
24. It's
10
10
years
years,
before.
okay.
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 But we certainly want women in our community, and we reach out to African American women, but we're concerned about all women that we come in contact with, because the death rate for African American women from breast cancer is higher than our white counterparts. And part of our education, part of what we do is we get the word out to the community to encourage women to get their mammograms. And we were at a school the other day where we were talking to young people, encouraging them to tell their moms, tell their aunts, tell their grandparents to get their mammograms, because just because, and we can attest to this, just because you're diagnosed with breast cancer doesn't mean you're dying from breast cancer.
Right.
So
Yeah.
still the best protection is early detection.
So I want you to repeat what you just said. She was diagnosed at 34, age 34. And because she was diagnosed at age 34, she would recommend that her daughter get a breast exam at age 24.
For 10
10
years
prior to my
when she
diagnosis.
was diagnosed.
And that's for second generations.
I think it's very important that our viewers hear that, simply because they may not know that.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, that's just not common knowledge for people to know.
Right.
So I think it's very important for them to know that, and if they leave here, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask you guys as well, what would you want to leave here saying to our viewers? But I think that's so important that people really need to know and understand that if you have a daughter that, and you are a survivor, that they need to be tested 10 years before you were diagnosed, your age.
That age, exactly.
That age.
And I don't think that, I mean, that's just not common knowledge for people. I mean, it's not written on the wall, it's not written in a book. Most people, I mean, who's going to pick up a book of cancer or written by cancer survivors to read it?
Well, fortunately, we are here to say it orally for people that are not able to read it.
And so that's education for the
Yes.
public, and
Yes.
that's a good thing. So we are about one minute.
We're just getting started. Let me ask you. What did you have? Did you have a radical mastectomy?
No, I had a lumpectomy. I was so early in my stages that I had many options. The higher the stage, the less options you have. So I had a lumpectomy, and yeah.
And I had a radical mastectomy of the right breast, which meant that it has been removed altogether.
Right.
So he's only going to give us 1 minute, and I really want to ask him to extend it and give us like 3 minutes, because we're the last show. We can't have it. Yeah.
Going.
So
I want my own show.
So if you had to say something, what would you leave here, the both of you, what would you leave here saying to our viewers tonight?
Early detection saves lives. Early detection saves lives. Knowing is so much better than not knowing.
Okay.
I did not ignore it. You have to allow yourself to take care of yourself. One of the reasons we die more often is because we take so much care of others that we forget about ourselves completely, and then it's too late.
Okay. Ms. Willis?
Well, I'm going to say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. If you feel something, like they say in other areas, if you feel something, say something. Tell somebody, get some support, get some help. I had people from my church that were really supportive. Husband and son were supportive. Beulah, Sisters Working It Out, were so supportive. And one thing that Beulah always tells people is you're your own best advocate. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. If you think that something is going on in your body, you're afraid, call us. Call Sisters Working It Out. One of us will be happy to work with you, to talk to you, to encourage you, to pray with you, to walk you through this. You don't have to do this alone. We've been through it. We've survived it. We continue to thrive, and we want to help you do the same.
Okay, and that brings us to an end to the Doty report on comprehensive health. You can contact if you want any additional information about any of the programs or the shows that we've had here. You can contact Don Doty at 312-282-1375. And we can forward any additional information that you may need. Thank you and good night.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.